We are now. So, hello, welcome.
Welcome. Nice to be here. Hope you are well.
Yes, I'm well. I hope you are too. I know that we had like technical difficulties,
It's bizarre.
Yeah,
Bizarre.
and we still might.
Yeah. We'll try to keep our vibe calm here so it doesn't start glitching again.
Okay, yes, definitely. So, without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and ring the meditation singing bowl to clear our space and energy and get started. All right.
All right.
So, what do we have for this full moon?
So are we still 3 hours apart?
Yes. So the thing about Arizona Mountain Time is that we don't have daylight savings time. It always stays the same.
So we're 2 hours apart now then. At least until we are out of standard time, I guess.
Oh, is that why we had a
Because it's 7:30 here and you said it's 5:30 there.
yeah.
Okay, so we're 2 hours apart.
Oh,
And
now we are.
we
I
just
thought,
we just turned back clocks. So
okay. Or so that's the reason why I was like, you coming?
yes, yes, I was
Okay, well, is this time okay then?
fine. I
Okay.
was trying to get I didn't have light bulbs working. I mean, it just everything's just sort of been discombobulated.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
the
yeah.
reason I was saying that is because the full moon at its peak here on the East Coast today was at 4:28. So
Hmm.
for you, that would be 7:28. So we're right in the full moon, which is the last of four supermoons in a row.
Oh, so today's a super moon.
It is a supermoon in Taurus.
So if we go outside, the moon should be looking super big.
It is here. It's looking super big here. It's at 24 degrees of Taurus. Interesting energy. It is conjunct Uranus, which is also in Taurus. So moon conjunct Uranus is, just like that glitching that was going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uranus is electronics and electrical. So that was a perfect example. Like we were sitting here, and so the first time I came on, something was going on with the lights,
Oh
right?
yeah, y'all missed it. It looked like The Exorcist. Like the lights were coming in and out, and I'm like, "What's going on over there?"
So then I unhooked some things from my laptop, and we were sitting here talking, and it looked like a test pattern of a TV or something glitching.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very, um, uh,
Uranium.
Uranus is electrical energy, and
Mm-hmm.
electrical energy is very uncontrollable, right? It's static, it's unpredictable. And so Uranus conjunct the moon could mean at a drop of a hat you break down in tears for no reason. There it just happened again. I don't know.
Oh my God, her device is not connected, so she will be back, guys. Hopefully. Um. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else is like going through like any kind of like electronic difficulties, but that could be a thing. Um, here she is.
I'm not sure what's happening.
Yeah, now you're blacked out.
Yeah, I haven't done anything different.
So when you went out, it said something disconnected.
Yeah, and I haven't touched anything. So can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
I think my
Do you think your camera went out?
I think that My laptop is trying to.
Okay, now I'm like all blurry. There we go. I'm in focus now. So yeah, so we're having technical difficulties again. If this keeps persisting, then we may have to postpone the live for a later time. But we'll see. We'll see how she comes back. Um, I know, right? I wish I had something nice to say. I just know that this week it's been like um kind of hectic. There's like a lot of things that are going on this week for myself, and so um I know that me personally things have been a little all over the place in terms of like what I've been doing. So yeah, I'm not sure if anyone else have experienced anything like that. So hold on. Okay. So she says she's coming. Okay, well we'll just wait. Here she is.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but your video is off.
Well, I have no idea why. It's plugged in. Let me try plugging it into a different plug.
I was just telling the audience, like, if this is like a thing, then we can probably like just save this live for a later time. I'll leave it up to you, unless you want to go live with just the audio. I think she's changing the plug.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know why. Hold on, let's see.
Do you want to check like your
I was checking the I
the
was
video?
yeah, the video.
Do you have like two different cameras? Like, do you have like one on your laptop and then a separate camera, or just one?
I just have the one on a separate one. I'm looking here at the settings. I mean, I haven't done anything any different. Um,
Oh, I see something. Yeah.
okay, so maybe this camera is broken.
Okay.
So now I'm just working.
No, I used to hear you.
You okay now?
I can hear you now.
I mean, I didn't do anything and it just like muted itself. So something's possessed. Something's going on. Something that I'm wanting to say that someone doesn't want me to say. I don't know.
It's the Twilight Zone.
It is definitely okay, but at least okay. So here we go. Is this good?
Okay.
Is it working?
Yeah, it's good. It's working. I can hear you. I can see you.
Okay, well,
Um,
let me get some information out here in case it just decides to blip again.
okay.
Okay, so Moon conjunct Uranus is where we were rudely interrupted, and it's an energy boost. You could feel more creative. There could be like unexpected developments. It could be like you're in the process of due diligence for a project and unexpectedly receive information and end up, halting any forward movement. It could mean not expecting to have an opportunity, whether it be work or home or meeting someone new, and you do. So it's all about unexpected, unpredictable kinds of energies. And it would just depend on, you know, what you're working on or what your focus is on as to what area of your life that might depend on.
Hmm.
So Taurus is the bull. It is a fixed earth sign ruled by Venus. It's the second house of the natural zodiac, which is where your possessions, finances, security, um, banking is what falls under the Taurian household. I have are the key words. Um, Taurus is the bull and representative of, someone very stubborn kind of energy. They move very slow and methodically. Um, um, One of the symbolisms that I grew up being taught was uh, the cartoon character Ferdinand the Bull just
Hmm.
laying under a tree and just really being lazy, really being um, kind of that stop and smell the roses kind of energy. So this is kind of a disconnect in that Uranus is very hard to slow down and have methodology to it, and Taurus is very structured and methodical. So that's where your best laid plans may take a little hiccup. And the thing to keep in mind is to be flexible. And, I think of hockey players, how on a dime they have to change directions. They're moving fast and they might have to like all of a sudden stop. And that's this kind of energy. You're on ice and you're moving in a lot of different directions and need to be ready for, changing into a new direction and not getting completely uh, thrown off by that. So, um, this is also kind of a pioneering kind of energy, the inventor. We have Saturn that has been retrograde since June, stationing direct as well today. And so you may address some old wounds or maybe what you were dealing with in the spring, say between April and June, took some kind of hiatus or put on the back burner. And now, as Saturn has stationed direct and will be moving forward and gaining more speed, those subjects from earlier this year could come back. It could involve an authority figure, it could involve a parent. Um, it is your own inner wise person, wise man or wise woman. So, using your wisdom to navigate the chaos of Moon conjunct Uranus is very important. We also have the Sun trining Neptune. So, the Sun's still in Scorpio and making a trine to Neptune in Pisces, and that's very positive for having razor sharp instincts, and your psychic ability would be really on fire right now. Using your dream state to retrieve information from the subconscious mind is very beneficial.
I can share a dream that I had. It was weird. So I dreamt I went back to Washington State and I left some stuff in my old house. and there's a new tenant living there, and the stuff that I left there was still there, and so I went back to go retrieve like those items, and I had a shopping cart, and
That's funny.
so I put all this stuff, and then I had an old lady scold me, and she told me, "Well, technically, I'm not supposed to like hoard, like take your stuff. You're supposed to take all your stuff when you're gone. You can't just leave any stuff behind." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. I just, to me, I'm thinking I didn't have enough space, or like it was just too much. That's why I came back. Because the trip back up north was unplanned, and so I was like, "Oh, okay, I have time. I should go back up there, get my stuff, and come back down." And yeah, that had happened. I'm like, "What in the world? Like, why would I think about like having a shopping cart and putting the rest of my stuff in it? Where am I going to take that?"
Well, I guess it makes me feel like um, going back over the move, going back over, um, you,
At
you've
that
had, you've
at
had a
that point, I wasn't thinking about moving. That didn't even cross my mind.
right.
I didn't think about moving until the summer, like, I wanna say August.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, this was like a on the whim, unplanned, like, maybe I should go, and I did. No plan whatsoever, because I just felt like the energy was stagnant up there, you
Well,
know?
and I think that the dream of going back there to retrieve things is kind of the mind or subconscious mind's way of um, just revisiting the change in direction. Like if it did seem very sudden, maybe some part of the subconscious needs to just go back over it to give it blessing, or go back over it to
There must be something I left behind that I need to go and get, and then the lady was nice enough to hold it for me, but I had to get a scolding from her, like a old lady telling me, "Well, you're not supposed to do that, but luckily I'm nice enough to hold it for you." That kind of a vibe, and I'm like, "Okay, well, thank you."
well, don't they say that every character in our dream is some part of ourselves? Like whatever's going on in the dream is what's going on in ourself. um,
Yeah, so I'm an old lady talking to myself. "Well, I told you so." Nagging myself.
well, I think because it was not all that much planned in advance, it
I mean, there was a
makes
lot of backfire. So when we had like the whole eclipse thing, like
yeah,
that all like
two
that was
eclipses.
yeah, that was like horrible because of my like inability to plan things like thoroughly.
Yeah.
Like I got a lot of delays because of paperwork and stuff. And I'm like, "Are you effing serious? Like, am I like really going through this because of something from my past?" And so yeah, that was horrible. I still have to do it, by the way.
Ugh,
And then, like, I had this trademark issue. My trademark supposedly expires in January. And then the guy was like, "Do you want to renew your trademark?" And I'm like, I don't know. Because that guy down in Las Vegas, Nevada, he
yeah.
decided to do register a trademark for his tea shop. And
Right.
I'm like, "Oh, now he's doing it." But
Right.
before, when I said, "Hey, you can't use like my trade name," like
Right.
he just blew me off. But I
Right.
found out he has a wife, and she's Asian. So I was like, "Oh, I get it." So yeah. No.
Well, isn't that interesting though? That's what Saturn will do, is bring things from the past. That makes me think of, anything that we've started in the past, having to go back over it, or it just comes up again as focus to take energy. Um, it's really weird how that can come out in a lot of different ways, whether
It
it's
really is.
it is. And so the whole idea of Saturn is it teaches us it's our wise old woman or wise old man within ourselves that it teaches us our lessons. So when we are going back over something, and it's not too long now before Mercury goes retrograde around the 21st of this month. So we're about a week out from Mercury retrograde. So that would already be slowing down, which is a more energy towards things from the past coming back up.
Mm-hmm.
And for everyone, it might be different degrees of the past. It could be months, years, another lifetime. Um, this week, my work took me to a place called the State Archives, which is a big state library where really old records are archived. Now, I am at heart a librarian. That is what I am. And I loved that movie, City of Angels, with Nicolas Cage. And, the angels would hang out in the library. I don't know if you remember that or not. They would part of the movie was in this big city library, old building, and all these, angels were just hovering around the ceiling, and that's where they would hang out during the day. And I love that visual. And this place is huge, the building is huge. It's just a really, I don't know. It's just it's an archive. It's where a lot of century old records are.
Mm-hmm.
And my job was to search records from the 1880s. So
Wow.
that is very, when you talk about revisiting the past or, going back in time, Saturn is father time, it could mean something like that. It could mean like, you might get bit by the bug to do your family family tree,
Mm-hmm.
genealogy. It would be an interesting statistic to see if what's that web-based program, Legacy, that helps people search their family tree. It'd
Mm-hmm.
be interesting to see if in this 2 week period or so, if their sales increased or not. To see if there was a global interest in um, searching back time within your own family. It could mean, uh, you know, legitimately someone from your past resurfacing. And that could be physically in your reality, it could be in your dream state. Um, so, this is an interesting time for having like a psychological breakthrough, whether it is through the dream state or something from the past coming back, like, sun being in Scorpio still, that's all about secrets. So it could be about secrets being revealed or information that leads to the answer or resolution of something that's been a mystery. Um, uh, but whenever there's a psychological breakthrough, when you've connected the dots for something that's maybe needled your brain, um, it could be anything from, well, we're coming into a holiday time. Um, and what comes to mind is how family members who don't deal with each other all year long are sort of forced into dealing with each other and all the different rifts that can happen in families and come to focus during the holidays when you have gatherings. And, just a really simplistic example might be an old family recipe, and um,
You're
I,
making me hungry already.
well, well,
Like, what kind of recipe?
I was hearing a story about this lady who, at her family gatherings, it was like her dressing, whatever she does to it or fixes it, it's like the bomb that everybody wants. And this year, she's not going to be available to that big family gathering. She's traveling in
So
another.
nobody wants to come.
Oh, her sister-in-law has asked her for her recipe, and
Oh.
her position is, I'll make it for you, but I'm not going to share my recipe. Some people can be really protective of their recipes, right? And
Uh-huh.
that's a example of, like, a family recipe that gets handed down and handled down. What's that Bush's Beans commercial that the dog is trying to sell the family secret for the sauce or whatever? And there are legitimately industries that have patented recipes that they keep under lock and key. And that might be another interesting thing to watch as far as current events is trade secrets,
Mhm.
intellectual property, those kinds of news stories, espionage. That's very Scorpion. Any kind of um, secret service, unveiling. So I think it's the 22nd that the sun moves into Sagittarius, and the sun in Sagittarius is quite different than in Scorpio in that it's fire and it's about the truth and seeking the truth. So where Scorpion is kind of mysterious and likes to kind of keep things hidden or likes things mysterious, Sagittarius brings the light to it and blows it out of the water, right? Or, you know, so we're sort of on this precipice of the fourth of four consecutive supermoons, going from the um, Saturn I'm sorry, Taurus, Scorpio axis, and then we will be moving the sun into Sagittarius, which is the Sagittarius Gemini axis. So very chatty, very communicative. Sag likes to travel. So we're in the transition week of going from maybe scratching our head, not understanding secrets and mysteries, to you know the light beaming down to bring the truth to. And one of the things that I think is bubbling under the surface is more transparency about UFOs and aliens amongst us, where this has always been closely held secrets within the authority, the government. Um, it's already starting to sort of eke out of unclassified records, talking about Roswell and any kind of weird filming of, UFO is unidentified flying objects. So there's been more and more. And you wonder, is it the internet that brings this information more to us? And it's always been this way, but we just have access to it more. Another thing that Uranus about is deep space. So, I did see on TV the last couple of days the astronauts that are in the space station. They are there to study the effect of no gravity on the body, and like they hook themselves up to treadmills and weight machines for like 2.5 hours a day, because if they didn't, their muscles would just disintegrate from the bone because of no gravity. So the
Oh.
study of the physiology of space and time and how it affects our skin and bone.
Is that why aliens appear, or like at least what we know have like no body but a big head, you know? It's
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of
you know,
interesting. Yeah. Oh, something's happened to your audio. Are you frozen? Oh my goodness, we are just having a time with technology tonight.
talking about aliens, that's what happened.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're being shadow banned.
Yeah, the truth is coming out, so I don't know.
So, with Saturn stationing direct, it can reopen old wounds. So, it can reopen. Saturn is a very authoritative kind of energy. It could reopen old case files. So, it's, if you're into revealing the truth from some closely held secret or, um, you know, again, I don't know why I keep thinking of the closely held secretive family recipes and the holidays coming where, people come together. And, the irony about that is that food and I don't know if action's the right word, but the process of preparing food is and feeding and sharing with people, it seems to me like a very loving kind of act. And people that get all weird about coveting their recipes, I understand it is a cultural kind of, I don't want to say habit or routine, but it's not uncommon, that's for sure. But I've never understood it if feeding and sharing people with food is a loving act. I'm not sure what's loving about keeping that, good tasting pie recipe all to yourself. So I don't know. There's kind of that's kind of that weird thing I'm talking about, you know, um,
Maybe that was like her trophy to um win favoritism over all the members of the family because of the sauce, you know. But if she didn't have the sauce, then what else would she bring to the family?
right, needing to feel needed, needing a sense of
Yeah.
security, a sense of
Mhm.
hierarchy in the family
Yeah,
dynamic.
because like what if she had to sit out on this one and like, you know, she's not bringing the sauce, or, you know, and let's say she shared her sauce recipe and then they can just go enjoy it all by themselves and she'll be excluded
Yeah,
because now she gave up her secret.
and that there's something in human nature about that, right?
Oh yeah, I mean like, no, you're not having my secret sauce. Are you crazy?
I know. And
You
then
know?
I think you can take that to another level of it's directly related to the ego and the ego's need to feel secure and safe, which is what
Mhm.
Taurus is all about. Is your sense of security, your possessions, right? So
Mhm.
your closely held family secrets could be considered a possession, and it gives you ranking or hierarchy amongst your
Family members.
family. Yeah. So a lot of focus on the hierarchy within families, the authority within families, you reestablishing or establishing your boundaries within a family unit, that kind of thing. Saturn is boundaries. We have all this attention on borders. You can't turn on the TV and not hear something about borders. That's boundaries. And
Let me ask you this, has your gas prices gone down?
we're at 324 a gallon today.
I think we're at 279 here.
The lowest I've seen it, and I only saw it briefly a couple of weeks ago, is 299.
Yeah. Like, because I went to go pump gas. I'm like, what? I can fill up a gas tank with $40.
What a good feeling that is.
Oh man, I was like loving it. I was like, yeah, this is what it's supposed to feel like.
Right. Well,
And I'm right here by the border, so you know.
right, right.
Hmm.
It's interesting. You know, one of the other things about human nature and what this energy is going to bring under focus. So the sun is in the last few degrees of Scorpio. It's at 24 today, and by in a week from today, it will be going into Sag. So we're in the last few degrees of the Scorpio sun. Whenever a planet gets to those last like 28, 29 degree parts, it's more intensified, but by whatever that energy is. And so um, judgment is my subject I'm trying to formulate here in my mind. So, you know, this energy teaches empathy. Like everybody's so quick to judge, and when you talk about the borders and immigrants and um, illegal aliens, whatever terminology you use, it's easy for people to pass judgment. And this energy is one that reminds us not to judge people, that until you've walked in their shoes or you've been where they are, it really is not healthy to pass judgment on others or yourself for that matter. And what you rely on instead of is your instincts, right? So, you know, instinctually, um, you know what you need for your own well being. Your psychic inclinations are right on target right now. So, if you're trying to decide, you know, all this political stuff, whether or not to go and be an activist for something, so to speak, you know, there are studies about crowd mentality that are very interesting. And this is a time when your individuality and what you need for yourself far outweigh that whole sort of herd mentality. And to be weary of connecting yourself with groups that pass, you know, like blanket judgments on, you know, whole slews of people. Um, it's an interesting time in our society because technically the United States is an entire country of immigrants. I mean, we've all come from somewhere, and if you get really dialed down into it in the way maybe what is shown as North America on a map today, um, these continents have been connected in different ways over the centuries, over the tens of thousands of years. So nobody really knows. And to make any kind of packed, you know, judgment about it, I don't know that any of us will really know until maybe we've transcended the body and we're somewhere in the ethers, uh, you know,
And then we have all the answers then.
seeing things from a totally different perspective. Um,
Well, I think that that's where we leave ego or judgment or anything like that,
mm,
and then we kind of see things for whatever it is, and not like having opinions, I guess, on it. Yeah.
well, and it's a powerful time to make permanent shifts. You know, like if with coming towards the end of the year, it's always about evaluation. You know, traditionally family gatherings and rifts that have been held for a long time between family members or whatever. This is a very powerful time to make shifts from like karmic behavior patterns. So, you know, family members are generally karmic partners. I mean, you're in that family unit because you've all traveled other lifetimes together, which is why they are some of the most emotional and intense connections that we experience. And so, using this energy to, you know, finally let go of the old karmic pattern that has, begrudged someone, even if it's not family, but a close friend or something, and recognizing, you know, when you don't forgive someone, you're not hurting them. And the thing that I had to learn with my brothers was, you know, you can't make someone receive your forgiveness. You can meditate and own and cry and journal and do all of those therapeutic kinds of things to forgive someone. And it does not affect whether they receive it or not, but it does affect how you're doing what you're doing to yourself. So it's important that, if there is any kind of rift you're experiencing with parents or those authoritative figures, um, to recognize, that we are all, walking to the beat of our own drum and doing the best we can. I had another astrologer years ago. Her name is Susan Manuel, up in the Michigan area, and her body of study was weather patterns. So she studied astrology, um, from the point of view of weather forecasting. And she taught me a lot. We used to travel to conferences together, and I really always enjoyed her for her. She was just kind of like a Buddha. She had a lot of very no nonsense kind of philosophy. And, that whole thing of you you don't really know what someone's been through, to judge them. And she taught me a lesson in that. Um, and you may go through that during this period of, something that you held as some pat kind of judgment you had about people, um, comes back around for you to take another look at it. But what she would say, and I've always remembered this, is, just remember that really, for the most part, people are good. People are mostly good. If you've been through a bunch of crap with being betrayed or passed over, or, just kind of lost your faith in humankind, you know, trying to pull yourself up out of that perception to people are really, for the most part, good, and they want to do good. They want to do the right thing. And so that helps a little bit with the idea of trying not to hold on to grudges or judge your close
I'm
circle.
really trying over here.
Well,
No, seriously, I am, but like, because I remember my Buddhist teachings to like, don't let that, because that's a klesha, it's a poison. And for me to be in that energy, and I can say that it's been really hard. I'm not perfect. It does get to me, and I'm still working through that hatred and anger and resentment. I have myself to blame too, and I can't forget that, because I let that happen also.
and that's true for all of us. I mean, I think we
Mhm.
can all relate to that and to things that, um, maybe we would have done differently had we known what we know now. Or
Well, I just know that I didn't have time to uh, when you're so busy and you got 10 million things going on in different directions, you have to kind of pick your battles on where you put your focus at. And that
right.
was like the issue there. But like, and things were good and for a long time, because, I went in a direction and the other person went in a different direction. And, now that I have more time to assess the issue, now I'm angry. I can't really be angry because I let that happen.
That's
So,
that describes this energy very well, and it leaves
mhm.
you kind of feeling frustrated, you know.
Yeah, I feel frustrated, but I just need to get over it, you know?
Um, one of the lessons I noticed this week had to do with, instead of um, you talk about pick your battles. It's like things fester. Like if you don't address something as it happens, I'm trying to think of the example, but
Oh,
you know,
yeah, well, yeah, like a recent situation, I asked him, I said, "Well, did you address that, to so and so?" And he said no, he was gonna wait until his cousin's wedding and then break the news. And I'm like, "Well, you need to say it now because I already made my decision. So, like, if you're going to make it like, because I just have a feeling that he's just gonna twist my words like he did before in a previous conversation, um, that, I'm coming off in a certain way, and that's really not the case. That's not true. But like, since, he's over there and that person is over there and I'm over here, how can I really defend my position? And who's telling the truth? And you're talking about, well, the truth is all going to come out eventually.
right.
Um, so that's what I'm hoping for, like I'm just taking this energy and I don't know. It's rough.
I think it has a lot to do with healing old wounds or readdressing reopened wounds that are directly stemming towards our own inner wisdom and, you know,
It really is testing my like the things that I preach, right? Like everything that I say, it's like me being a hypocrite. How could I say, like release and let go and don't let these things bother you, but it sure as hell does bother me. So how can I let go? And I really feel like, okay, it's easier said than done, and I get that. But I really feel like with that particular, let's just say karma or karmic person in my life, it's a real testimony as to like a real test of like how far have I come? Have I really learned the lesson? Is this going to be a repeat situation into my next lifetime? I don't want it to, perpetuate into like future in this lifetime or even in my next lifetime. I want to resolve it now.
and so you're a Capricorn sun, which is
Mhm.
ruled by Saturn. So it would be more intense for people with Capricorn sun.
Oh, well, I've been feeling that intensity for years. Like, I'm so done. Like, I'm ready for this Aquarian like thing to shift.
Right. So I'm going to try to say this as gingerly as I can, and hopefully no one gets offended. But you touched on hypocrisy, and we can take that to the collective level, right? Of
Mhm.
en masse, the people in the United States over this election cycle, and the hypocrisy um, of a group of people feeling like they can say and do anything they want to without any consequence
Oh,
just
there was a lot of consequence. For example, there's like a few like news articles that were released that because of like the verdict of the election, they used an ice picks and off their family member because they were having a meltdown. That's a personal issue, and then some of them were leaving the country. Like, what is that going to resolve? You
well,
know?
the whole point I was trying to make is that of freedom of speech. Like, it's not freedom of speech for just one group of people, it's for everyone across the board. And there used to be a time in our society where people would just have a meeting of the minds and agree that they disagree. something in the energy shifted, and I still go back to that Pluto Saturn conjunction in December 2019. Just really showed a very the worst underbelly of human nature, in that separation of, I could say what I want to say, and if you don't agree with me, then off with your head. That nature that's come into the society over the last few years didn't used to be there.
Mhm.
I think that I know you could probably boil this down to all kinds of cultural transcripts and scriptures or whatever theological records we might have for different periods of time in our history, but you almost have to like get to rock bottom before anyone pulls their head out of their butt to see what's been, this whole thing about ending karmic patterns that don't serve you, right? It's
Mhm.
like it doesn't serve you or whoever you have a riff against or the family member that you disagree with politically to come to that kind of violence and hatred. And, Pluto Saturn, that definitely is a signature of hatred. And
Mhm.
so it's played out a lot of different ways. And the whole shifting more into the unity of the age of Aquarius and, you know, let people be and, you know, don't judge and have empathy for those that, um, I think that's the hardest part is um, having empathy for people who can be, you know, violent and show outward hatred. I don't understand that, and I certainly do think that we're kind of pulling out a poison splinter with this energy. Like the poison has been in the pool of humanity, and we kind of have to ride it out. But then, you know, there's a higher vibration of light and spirituality in people that can see above that hatred and violence. And that's where we all need to be focusing our energy is, um, not being sucked into the hatred and the violence and making judgments, but be above it and try to, you know, pray,
Learn from it,
yeah,
really.
and pray on it that, you know, there really is something about a derangement syndrome I don't understand. There really is something there about people so intensely emotional over, one person or one thing. I mean,
Honestly don't understand. It almost feels like a brainwashing, to be honest.
it does. It's that MK Ultra they talk about and being propagandized, and that's what I mean about it has to get so bad for people to finally snap out of it. Wake up and see. How have children been manipulated? How have
You know what? There's so many like news reports of food recalls and of listeria and food products and it's and it's so like blatant.
yeah,
It's like every other like day or every other week, and
when
the
you don't
the symptoms of listeria is like causing infertility in women or having like some kind of nausea or stomach upset or something, things like that, or it's not really good for you, or, there is a local report about there could be trace amounts of lead in the water system. And I'm like, okay, thanks for the intel, but they said not to be alarmed, that there should not be anything, like they're reassuring us, like, yeah, there's nothing to be afraid of, but Okay.
Kind of mass panic on their hands if they didn't say that, you know. It's just a big manipulation, and I'm hoping that, you know, the more we get into 2025, some of that veil will come down to show that wizard behind the curtain is just a little bald man who's very insecure, and you know, just that sort of concept of the the manipulation has really been very, you know, small-minded people. I know that's the only way I know how to say it. So I remember one of our lives not long ago, we talked about The Wizard of Oz, and that weekend was a good weekend to put on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. And you start the music when you've seen the MGM lion in the introduction. He roars 3 times, and on the third roar, you start Dark Side of the Moon. And that the music, you know, it's a really long record, and the music goes through that movie perfectly, right?
Mhm.
So that's been this sort of rock and roll mythology for as long as I can remember. And one of the old guys from Pink Floyd was on some interview, and the interviewer actually asked him about it, and he said it was complete myth, that there was no truth behind it at all. And it's just things like that that seem to be so real, you know, like so synchronistic, but
Mhm.
they're not at all intentional or related. So, you know, I would just say it's a good time for doing your best to let go of anything. Like when wounds get reopened, the idea is that you can really look yourself in the mirror and be very honest about what part you played in it. I think our last live, I mentioned a dream with an old boyfriend. I've since had another dream with him in it. I've spoken with his best friend, and it's been 30 years since I've seen him, but I've noticed that in my recollections and, you know, ponderings when you're getting ready to fall off to sleep at night or something, or at the end of the day, I've really tried to think about, you know, what was my part in that relationship not working, that it wasn't just all him. I mean, for years I've wanted to blame it. It's all him. He, you know, he was a player and wanted many different people. Not, he didn't want a commitment. And then he ends up getting married and having kids. So that sort of made me wonder about, you know, well, obviously wonder why I wanted to be with him so bad on a commitment and, you know, long-term basis. And I think back, and, you know, honestly, if he was looking for someone to have babies with, then I wasn't his girl. I mean, I knew a long time ago my career was going to be forefront, and I didn't have time to have babies. And so, you know, taking ownership in our own role with friends and lovers and family is very important during this time. And, you know, being gentle with yourself, not making harsh judgments like, you know, oh, you coulda, shoulda, woulda. I mean, it's really not about that. It's more about just acknowledging that that was a wound, and that it is the past, and it doesn't have to influence your future. And
Mhm.
that's the most important part about wisdom, is you can honestly evaluate what it was, and like you were talking about, you know, having learned your lesson, and we take ownership of our part in these different scenarios, and um, hopefully are stronger and wiser for it with subsequent interactions.
Yeah, my thing is, so why has it had to take this long? That's a big chunk of time.
So,
Mhm.
time is the linear mind, right? So in space, 30 years is a split second. So the time is just in our mind. It's our linear mind, and that is hard to, yeah, I mean, that is our mind saying, gosh, 30 years, where did it go? I can't believe
Mhm.
it's been 30 years. But that, you can almost see what my mind is doing. It's like putting this big weight of energy on years. Oh, it was years. And so, what? We are just a nanosecond in space, and it is no more than what we perceive it to be. And
Mhm.
that's the whole thing about aging too, and Saturn is all about aging and arthritis and the bone structure, and not feeling as energetic as your younger self. And I was in a nail salon not long ago, and he was an interesting little Asian man. And I don't know why, because usually no one talks, but he was quite talkative towards me. And he was he was talking about meditation. I'm going to share this since it came up because I thought it was very good and I've used it since. And he was like, if people would just meditate more, they would feel so much better. And he said, I want to tell you what I do for my meditation. And I'm sitting there soaking my feet, wondering, why, why me?
Okay.
Yeah. So he says, it takes 10 seconds and you can do it anywhere, anytime, and you'll feel better. And you take a breath in from your toes to your head with the thought of, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And then as you release that breath, you're saying, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. And then the next breath in, you're saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And on that last exhale, you're saying, I love you, I love you. Now, here is a guy doing my feet, pedicuring my feet, doing this. Okay. But I thought, what a simple exercise. And I have been doing it since. I think it's I'll do it driving down the road. And it's just kind of like a way to calm your energy and to
Mhm.
recognize, because he was lecturing me about, you need to be selfish. You need to be thinking about yourself. Don't worry about all these other crazy people and what's going to be happening. Your happiness is now and how you feel. And the subject came up about age, and as you age, your nails get ridges in them. I've
Mhm.
watched my mother's hands. We've talked about hands before, and I was telling him, I was like, yeah, but when you age, you get these ridges. And he goes, oh no, you just think that. Just don't think that, and you have no ridges. And his concept was kind of like Louise Hay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how our mind and body are so connected with our thoughts, and these perceptions of just like time, so, oh, I'm 30 years older, I must be getting arthritis, or oh, these, you know,
I
sort of
guess pre-programmed ideas of what, things are, but it's really an illusion,
right,
because, that's something that was programmed to us for years on end, kind of like money and every
right,
other subject that's out there. So the thing is that, before you go to bed, think about, like, good thoughts, like, think about what you know is true. It doesn't have to be true, and it's like kind of like a manifestation situation
yeah,
that don't think about the how, or how the thing is going to manifest. Just
right,
know that you already have it, just like the truck. You know that that truck is in your driveway,
yeah.
and you're going to go take it out the town because
Hey,
you
you just made me think of something. There was a truck in my driveway when I got home today. It didn't belong to me. My neighbor was bringing me something, but isn't that funny? You just said that, and when I came home today, the truck was in my driveway. That's
Yeah.
funny.
So you had a truck in your driveway.
There's going to be a truck in my driveway, only it's going to be the little miniature kind.
Well, whatever
It belongs
that
to me.
you want is in
Yeah.
in the driveway. Okay.
Isn't that funny though? I'm getting closer.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
somebody else's truck in the driveway.
Yeah. Next thing you know, it's yours. So you
Yeah.
know.
That is funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Yeah. Interesting times and very sensitive to that kind of manifesting. So, being really careful about what we think and, you know, only thinking, like you said, only think good thoughts because you don't need to bring crap on yourself or, for anyone having anxiety about if you celebrate Thanksgiving and you've got it coming up with travel or getting together with family and stuff like that. And there could be little rifts here or there or tension, just do that meditation of, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you. How simple is that? And it can really affect your whole vibration. And
Kind of like the Ho'oponopono
yes, it
mantra
is
thing.
very much the same,
Hmm.
same concept, shifting your vibration. Um, so yeah, I think that is, so Mercury will be retrograde between November 21st and December 15th in Sagittarius. And so that's about being, not too concerned if adjustments need to be needed you know, with your plan, with your well laid plan, being flexible to have plan B. And, you know, I think there's a lot of truth to um, that you're always where you're supposed to be, even if that doesn't seem pleasant or like what you want. You're always where you're supposed to be, and you always have what you need. And, the whole thing about need and want and the ego, right? So you always have what you need. The ego might be, want, but, recognizing those things and being grateful for right where you are with what you have is what brings the shift and the more of what you do want. So, dreading a family um, celebration and, you know, making it so difficult on yourself only hurts you. It doesn't hurt the people around you. It doesn't, you know, so it is, that's what I was thinking. The new moon in Sag is um, November 30th. So between the
So we have
30th,
like 3 moons in 1 month
yeah.
because we
And,
had one earlier on the first, and then one on the 15th, and on the 30th, I
yeah,
think.
and it was on Friday the 1st in
Hmm.
Scorpio, and this is going to be, um,
Taurus and Sag.
it's going to be, yeah, new moon in Sag. And then Mars goes retrograde a week after that on December 6th. So Mars retrograde at the same time, Neptune going direct. So the 6th and 7th of December are going to be an interesting mishmash of Mars retrograde really can come out as repressed frustration and repressed anger and Neptune going direct brings us out of the fog, that deep subconscious state of,
So what a crappy energy, though. It's like
well, it is. It's kind of like I
it's
think of
really
it like
difficult.
gears, like, if you drive a clutch vehicle and you've got your clutch down and your gear shift and you're moving it and it grinds the gear, that is sort of Mars retrograde, Neptune direct. It's like there's a grinding there, and you just make an adjustment so you keep, you get into gear smooth. So again, I think the remainder of the year, one of the biggest benefits we could do for ourselves is practicing flexibility and not being drilled down so hard on we've got to do it this way at this time. And, you know, that's easier for some people than others, so practicing being able to, you know, go with the flow and not getting too um, disgruntled or disturbed when, um, a flight is delayed or a car breaks down, or, you know, I read this interesting thing about the job market recently. And you know me, I'm so bad about staying anywhere very long. Um,
No.
I know, but
What?
I know is this article about the last, 6 weeks of the year is a great time to look for a job because most people aren't. So your chances of getting interviewed and placed are higher because there's fewer people in the marketplace looking for work. And so I started this job in June, coming up on 6 months. Woo woo. And so the way they operate, they do everyone's annual assessment at the end of the year. So where I've worked before, if you came in May, your assessment was in May. If you came in, they did it to the year where you started. Here, it doesn't matter what part of the year you started in, everyone gets their evaluation at the end of the year. So they've been doing that. And to those of us that didn't get hired till June and July, we got an email that says this doesn't apply to you. You haven't been here long enough.
Mm.
Looking at what our process is, so you're ready for next year. So my boss puts this calendar invite on my calendar Tuesday, and it just said check in. And it was with another attorney. And I was like, oh, maybe they have a new project for me or whatever. And I tried to not let it needle my brain, because I'm good at worrying and being bothered by shit like that. And sure enough, it was an evaluation. I go into this conference room and he says, I know you haven't been here very long, but we thought it would be a good idea just to check in. And so I was like, okay, this is when they tell me everything that they'd like me to do differently or better. And it was very timely when they did this because I'd come off of a couple of days where I was just really over some of the processes that were going on that just didn't make any sense and very inefficient. And so it was good. I mean, he said that my hours were good and that he would like for me to expand my skill set on a particular piece of software. And it's a mapping software. And I'm interested in, learning new things. And so I thought that was pretty good because it's something I haven't done before. And so it's like when you have, networks of companies with employment contracts or physicians agreements, there are always areas of non-compete, like where they do a non-compete agreement. And so the mapping has to do with locations of businesses and showing the radius where, that employee can't compete for 2 years or whatever. That is kind of how it gets applied. I thought, okay, well, that's good. So I was sort of interrupting him by saying, is this also when I give you my feedback? Because you could tell my nerves were just, I've had it. I mean, there were a couple of things that legitimately were, not my fault and could have been handled better by people higher up that make a lot more money than I do. And so finally he says, well, is there anything that I can do better or that, that we could do better for you? Well, I was ready for him, and I very succinctly rattled off the two incidences that were a complete, waste of time and inefficient. And, I gave him the resolution. I had it all figured out where I knew what would make it better. And I swear to God, I think he had his jaw on the floor. Like, I really don't think he was expecting me to come back with A, B, C, D. This is what, needs to be better. And it was weird because as we were walking out of the conference room, this is a very, very tall man. And he kind of bent over and he looked into my eyes. He was like, "Are you okay?" And I looked at him and said, "Look, if I seem upset, it's because I, I'm angry, that things aren't better for the client, because you know how it is when you work for yourself, your clients are your boss. If you're not doing good for them, you're not going to be successful. Well, it's the same way on staff somewhere. Your clients are who pay the company to be able to afford you. And so, I was seeing a couple of things that do not serve the client. And I sometimes I think that um, people in certain positions don't give people in lower positions enough credit for having a brain to think with. And I
Oh,
think
so you think his ego was a little inflated about, like,
like
what
he really could, I don't think he could believe that I had succinctly described two very specific incidences that he knows are not good and
Mhm, mhm.
could be better. And very easily. I mean, there's not even that much effort to make it work better. But I think he felt a little off guard that he didn't expect me to have anything to say, or I was just going to sit there and listen to what they had to say without any feedback. And that's
Did
not.
he come off like that before the meeting?
um yeah, he came off like, he was there to, give me an assessment of my 6 months there, and um, that we would leave the room. I don't think he was expecting any feedback from me about my first 6 months here. And so, what I have noticed in this position is it's not very fun, and I work really, really hard.
Mhm.
And I just that's what makes me open to reading, articles about recruiters. And I just think that your work should be um, time well spent, that you
You don't
feel
like to waste time, and
right.
you don't wanna work for, an asshole who don't, like, value your opinion, especially if it's for the greater good of the client and the company.
That's the thing. And
Yeah.
in the law firm arena, it's all about who has a license and who doesn't.
Mhm, and then the lawyer's ego gets super inflated because they went to law school and, and this is they're competing against their other attorney, like, people that they went to school with and stuff like that, so
So this mapping software, you know, you give me instructions and I'm very anal about following instructions. So I start
Mhm.
investigating this mapping software, and I found some YouTube videos on how it works and what you can do. And I reached out to the attorney who said she needed some help with that. And I said, "Hey, send me the details of what you need. I have it downloaded on my computer, and, let me get started with this." So, the next day, my boss comes to my door and he goes, "Hey, you might want to watch some YouTube videos and get to know that software." And I'm like, "Well, I already have, and I already have an assignment that I'm working on. And every Friday we do these check-ins with our team, and it's just to check in where certain files are." So today, when I had my check-in with him, I pull out this file. I said, "Here's my first map." And his face was just again like, I don't know if he thinks I'm an idiot because I'm not licensed, or what the deal is, but like he couldn't believe that I had jumped on that and had it done already. And And I'm sitting here going, that's what I do. You give me a task and I complete it. That's what
Mhm.
the that's what work
Do
is.
you think that he's sexist or
Mhm.
a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, you can't do that."
I'll watch some videos for a couple of weeks and then we're going to give you a little something, something, and I'm like, I'm a producer. I produce, and it was interesting, but it's made, I guess when I was coming home today, it's like I get in my car at the end of the week like this and I'm like, damn, what a hard week. It's just it's the guy that left who I liked so well that worked there, which had a big influence on why I moved there. He texted me recently, how's it going? And I wrote him back. I said, it's bumpy. And that's how I feel. It's bumpy.
Mhm. How did he feel though when he was working there? He said it was okay.
Yeah, it was better than our prior place. We both worked at the same place before.
Okay, so it was a
It
step
is.
up.
It is. I mean, it is better.
Yeah,
But
because I remember the HR and you having to
oh,
deal with them
oh wow.
and had to report to them exactly
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what you were doing. So that's
And
a whole
this,
different
yeah,
vibe.
this HR here is fine. They leave you alone. They let you do your job. I can bring
But
home.
it kind of reminds me of your job like a few years ago where you're working downtown in the labeled, high-end
Yeah,
attorney's office,
yeah,
and you had some
the-
of those
yeah. Terrible
personality
HR
types.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's definitely better. Um, and I'll keep doing what I do. I'm just saying I'm open to plan B. I'm
Me
not
too.
I'm not dialed into this is how it has to be and all that it is. Um, I get a paycheck and I show up and I try to be an asset and you know, but then I start questioning if even what I think should exist exists when it comes to this type of work and
I
people.
know. I think that was like your long running battle when it because there is no like perfect
Right.
environment so far that
You
you've
find the
encountered.
one you can tolerate the best. The thing
Right.
about this place that is so much better is, and it does help me mentally, is I can work at home.
Mm.
So every
Okay, so you
week,
don't have to deal with the BS so
yeah.
much
So every week I've had a day at home, and it's amazing how that one day, waking up, not having to,
to go in.
commute, and my dogs are so funny. I set up my laptop and I work down in the den where they are, and they sit all around me and watch me type, and that mentally helps.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's interesting, but I don't have any plan to retire. So it's important to me to really enjoy where I go and what I do and who I'm around. And so I think that's what keeps me always open to what else is out there.
Mhm. As long as like I mean, but I think you're used to like hopping around, so it's
I
not
think
like
I've gotten a little more confident about I have a skill set that's desired, and whereas before, when I first closed my business and re-entered, the first interview I had was a lady saying, so what have you been doing the last 21 years? Like I've just been sitting around on my ass doing nothing. But as well as I know, when you're self employed, you work all the time, you know.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, you know what? I think that that's like I get a lot of interviews too, and I get interviewed, but for whatever reason, they don't pick me, and I'm thinking why? Because I know I'm qualified. Is it the
and
pay?
it's probably overqualified.
I think so. I think I'm overqualified. I know too much. I might be competing with this person who's hiring me. I don't know.
And
Um,
And, you know, that sort of employers look at hiring someone overqualified as they won't be long term. You know, if you're overqualified and they feel like the position they're offering, that you really can do more than that, then they don't hire people because they think, well, they'll just stay here till they find the next thing.
I find that hard to I think it's cheap labor, to be honest. They're looking for someone that they can groom,
Yeah,
um, but also who can take, like, less pay, you know,
yeah,
and just to listen to authority, so to speak.
right.
Um,
And that word collaborative comes to mind. You know, like some employers just want the person that'll punch the clock, do the task, you know, and not challenge them. And you know, when you're more qualified and want to be more collaborative, that makes them have to work harder at their job too.
I guess it depends on how much work do they really want to, and who's gonna really fill the role, I don't know.
It's interesting, and but you just keep your confidence up and apply for what you know your instinct tells you to, and I think we always end up somewhere where we need to be, even if it's only for a little while. I
Mhm.
used to think every job was going to be where I retired, and so frustrated when it ends up like I got to leave here, I can't stay here. And with this is the first time where I'm like, yeah, well, you know, I'm going to stay here, and then, you know, if something better comes up, I'll leave. You know, I don't have to stay one place till I collect Social Security or something.
Mhm.
And so uh, it's an interesting workplace in the job market nowadays because you have four different generations all in the same workplace, and we all have been brought up differently. So that's another dynamic, you know, of who's doing the interview, what generation are they in, and so there's
I don't know, I think there's, like, this cliche, like, stereotype that they're looking for,
yeah.
right? Am I just, like
So, so what generation is 25-year-olds? Is that Gen Y
Yeah,
or millennial? Is that Gen Y or millennial? That's
that's
Gen Y,
that's
right?
past because, yeah, Gen Y, has to be Gen Y,
So,
because my brother is
um,
he's the millennial, I think that's Gen
yeah,
X, right?
yeah. Gen X is like their
No,
40s.
Gen Z, he's Gen Z, I'm Gen X,
Yeah. So
and
then,
then before me were, like, they call them baby boomers, I don't know what the
yeah,
term was.
yeah,
Boomers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Millennials are between Gen Z and Gen Y, right? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, okay. So this chickadee is a Gen Y. Okay.
Mhm.
She just got her law license about 2 months ago.
Oh, fresh. Okay.
Yes, yes. And, you know, I generally get along fine with young attorneys. I mean, most of them treat me very respectfully and realize that I'm their friend and they can learn a lot from me if they just pay attention and not get all in their ego.
Mm.
And this chick is just all in her ego. And we've been on two different projects together. And earlier this week, I was just like, you know what? Um, I'll do what I need to do, but um, she's going to have to take it down a notch. You know, she's been that that stereotypical she's the elite and I'm not because I'm not licensed. But on the other hand, she has no clue what she's doing, but she got her law license, right?
Hmm.
And so I worked really hard on a project, and my boss gave it to her to take to another part of the project. And then she gave it back to me, and it was all jacked up. And that was one of the things that I relayed to him was, I give
Oh,
you,
so he was taking favoritism over the young one
oh, she's
over.
young and pretty and slim, flirty. Yeah. Yeah. I've
Mm,
seen this so many times. It really is. These old guys think some young girl like that's going to want something to do with them, and some of them do. But
mhm.
anyway, um,
No,
so
I know the stereo because I used to work in a law office too back in my youth.
yeah,
And so the going thing was is that the ones that have like the bigger boobs or they had like the little like nose job or
yeah,
whatever and they come in wearing the little skimpy
right,
outfits and shit and they walk in their high heels and act
right.
like like, "Oh, hi, how was your day?"
Are you going to buy me a car?
Like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
do. Well,
yeah.
she's
So,
not quite as like brazen like that, but
no, I
um,
can tell because, like, I went to, like, a law school too. Like, I didn't go to law school, but my roommates went to law school at the college that I went to.
yeah,
And, I know how hard they study for the
yeah,
bar exam.
yeah,
Like, it's really tough, and they're in the libraries, they're, like, studying for it on a daily basis, and so, like, to go take the test is a big thing, and
yeah,
then when you pass, that is, like, you made it, like, you
right,
that is, like, the thing, so, like, for her to, like because she's young,
yeah,
and she's, like, thinking she's some hot shit, like, freaking attorney. Look, all attorneys aren't built the same. I just hate to break it to her. There's a lot of shitty attorneys that I've known because I've went to court,
oh,
and I'm
yeah,
like, "What in the hell?" I was like, "I would not hire that attorney to represent me."
right. That's the truth. It's amazing.
It's
And
just like going to a dentist or going to see a doctor or even the nail
hairstylist.
yeah, hairstylist, nail artist, they're all the same. They
Yeah,
could be the professional, but like not all of them are built the same. You have to really know who the good ones are and who's the bad ones. So,
I know. Well, today in our little check-in at the other project we'd been on, I mean, I know it inside out. I've implemented it. I've done it for a long time, way before I ever got here. And she came in and she was like, "Well, I took a webinar." you know,
oh, well, really?
and this is what and she wasn't saying it exactly right, and I think I was very patient with her, but I think my boss could sense that I don't mind helping anybody, show them something or
You mean you don't want to give out the secret sauce?
right. No, I will give them the secret sauce. It's just they have to dial it back a bit and not be so damn arrogant, you know?
Mhm, mhm.
Get arrogant with me, you lost me. You lost me. I could give a
Right, there has to be, like, a good reason for you to hand it over and not just be like, "Oh, you're so dumb, like, why would I even, like,
but two
entertain this?" Like,
things.
what would you do with my information? You mean just jack it all up even more,
Right.
because of, like, maybe the miscommunication and then they could come back and say, "Well, so and so, told me," and it comes back all crappy and
It's
stuff, and she has
it's a lack of communication. That's the word.
mm.
That's the crux of it is not communicating. And so, it's things like that that, again, keep me always open. My ears are always open to, Are there opportunities out there where I would, have more fun at my work? Or, I don't know. But I know that I'm no longer like dialed into it has to be this job for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I think that like if you're just open to just whatever, and it really depends on like how you feel
Yeah.
in the workplace. As long as you're okay, then it's okay. But if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like you don't agree, then yeah, you have every reason to like go and
Or when you feel like you dread in the morning going in. When you get
yeah,
to
that's when you know it's bad.
Yeah.
Like
When you start feeling that, you've got to, for your own sake, you've got to start scoping out your opportunities.
yeah.
Your life should not be spent like that. And there
Yeah, I
are
think
jobs
like
out
my friend, she just posted something on Facebook, and she says that if you're in the workplace and you are like killing yourself, for that job, then that's something that you shouldn't, like die for,
there. Right.
or something like that. It was really rough statement. It kind of reminded me of when I was working at the bank, and like they were milking me for everything that I had. And yeah, the pay was great, but like
You,
I there
you
were
know,
days where I didn't go without like showering, and like I thought like my heart was about to pop out because I was working like
right.
under like really tough deadlines, and they were asking me shit like, can you do like 10 PowerPoints please, but we need this like yesterday. And
Right.
I'm like, am I the only person that's going to be doing the PowerPoint?
Right.
Because like some of those PowerPoints are pretty fucking technical in my opinion, and nobody else wants to fucking take on the
Right.
challenge, but you need this like yesterday while
Right.
everyone else works on like creative projects, and they're like taking their sweet time being really creative and stuff, and I'm sitting over here doing the more technical stuff, and I'm like, because I know how to do it. So yeah, they would like push on things like that to me. But I had another person I was working with, and we were kind of like in the same boat. I was like, are you hanging in there? Because like this
Right.
is like worse than a sweatshop.
Right. 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 It's
So like,
it's interesting exchange there, between employer and employee, and I don't know. I definitely have learned a lot and not feeling beholden to them. I mean, we all bring value. It's an exchange. It's not just, you know,
so are you telling me the bubble phase is over?
the bubble phase is over. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's fine. Yeah.
Boy, where my friend went, he moved up north, and I mean, he's making really good money and really loving his new position. It's not in a law firm. He's a lawyer, but it's not in a law firm.
Like
And
he's doing legal work for a company.
he's doing work for a builder and developer on
Okay, and they
staff.
probably need that full
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
And which is a lot different angle, you know.
Mhm.
And so where I'm working, all the clients are hospitals and doctors. And that is a different element because I
Mhm.
have a certain degree of resentment towards that whole industry.
And you
And
deal with that
when
too.
of course they, are all about getting doctors, you know, like I don't do this end of it, but one whole part of it is malpractice, and they represent insurance companies and doctors being charged with malpractice. And I wouldn't be able to work in that because I'm sure a lot of them are doing like, inappropriate behavior with a patient, and
Oh, that kind of a thing.
the lawyers where I work represent the doctors to get them off of those kinds of things. And I wouldn't be able to do that.
Mhm.
I'm
I
at
mean, is that what you're doing now?
No, it's a different department of the same firm, but I'm not in
Okay.
that department. So, but that I think about that, it's like, so there's a big suite, and one end of the suite is all of the litigation, and then my end of the suite is all corporate and real estate. And so us down at one end always talk about, don't go down to that end. You want to go down there, and it's true, because you see through like newsletters and news releases and stuff, some of the cases and what's going on, and it's like, I couldn't work there. I couldn't work for that.
Well, I know because you would put your opinion on things, and
Yeah, yeah.
you would tell them your 2 cents, and you
So
would have been done.
you're
Like,
so funny. You know me too well, but that happened today in our little check-in. Like, so this year, the IRS and the federal government implemented a new law called Transparency. What is it? CTA, Corporate Transparency Act.
mm,
The idea of it is to flush out fraud and foreign involvement in corporations. And to do that, then there's perimeters. It's not every corporation, it's the small ones. They have to file a report with the US Treasury this year showing beneficial owners. And I started with it back in January at the other place when it all started being implemented. And I've done some of the work and read a lot about it. And there are lawsuits all over the country challenging the constitutionality of this law, which I love. I love anytime somebody challenges authority.
mhm, mhm.
So today in our little check-in, that was one of our subjects, was the process for handling clients who need these reports filed before December 31st, which is just rich that they've waited till November to think about it, because where I was before, we had the team and the process set up like in February when it went into effect in January. Where I am now, it's the middle of November, and they're just now talking about it with all of these due dates of December 31st. So that is what it is. But when we were getting up from the table and talking about it, I said, well, there's lawsuits challenging the constitutionality of it, and I'll be really glad if they win and it is unconstitutional. And it was not the thing to say, because the young girl attorney was like, what? You think it's unconstitutional? I was like, well, of course it is. Of course it is. If you're going to do fraud, you're going to do fraud. It doesn't matter. That's like all the, what's another example where there's laws, but people who are going to break the law are going to find a way to break the law.
Mhm.
Good people generally follow the law and do what they're supposed to do, and the criminals find ways to work around it. And it's
Mhm.
the same thing, and they were just like, oh, I was like, oh God, I'm in a den of snakes. Oh God.
I know. What team is she on?
Herself. She's her, she, they, them. I don't know. But it just, it's again that programming of automatically assuming that anything that comes down from authority, the government, must be right. And it's so wrong. I mean,
I think that I mean, especially for attorneys, I think that there is a thing where you actually do kind of like
an oath.
no, not an oath, but like attorneys, they do it, or students, they used to like challenge each other. They used to have like debates.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like a thing, like it's to kind of exercise each
Right.
other's like
Advocate
viewpoints and
for
see like, okay, like, and then they go back and
that. Doing
forth
the
and
point. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like I wonder, like, how many times was she like talking to challenge like another attorney on the subject? Like, was she like the one of the last ones that just sat in the crowd and just listened, or was she like the type who would actually like be the first to like, hey, I would like to
Right.
talk about this, um, and so she just, I don't know,
Between
something.
this week has been a week of jaws on the floor because something came out of my mouth that no one expected.
Well, you did say earlier that it was something about like try not to judge.
Right.
I know, me too. Like I'm guilty.
Right. Right. And I just sat here
I
and,
might have my own opinions, but I'm
yeah,
entitled to my
yeah,
own.
yeah.
Okay,
And if you ask me for it,
I'll
I,
give it.
yeah, yeah, please ask me for it.
Yeah, like I'll tell you a thing or
Yeah,
two.
I want to tell you so bad. So it's really interesting because we do that all the time where we say we're not judgmental and then we turn around and we're very judgmental.
Yeah. Don't worry. I was very judgmental this week also, so you're not the only one. And I think I was on a rampage. Like any person who I felt like didn't do good, or, or they didn't have the best interest of either myself or someone I cared about, then I automatically put them in that category. Like, oh, you suck and I don't like you.
Yeah,
But it's like kind of like this anger energy, and I know that like I shouldn't be like that, but it's I don't know, I think it's just in the air. I don't know.
it is in the air. And that's okay. So just to kind of summarize we came off of a Scorpio new moon into the final supermoon in Taurus conjunct Uranus on the heels of Saturn direct and Mercury going retrograde, with this configuration of Mars going retrograde as Neptune comes direct. So when you put all of that in a big blender, you just described it. It's a lot of emotions. It's dealing with anger and authority. Um, and I think it's so interesting what that little pedicure guy said about be selfish. You need to be selfish,
Mhm.
and there's something to that, maybe not being selfish, but just, being protective of your own energy, of our own energy, like not letting people cross our boundaries and, um, you know, just like, being evaluated or assessed, not being afraid to say, well, and this is my feedback. This is what I think about that, or what I think could be done better, or, whatever.
I like it when people they don't give any feedback. You know what I mean? It's like you have things to say, but they don't have nothing to say back towards it. They're like, "Oh, okay, interesting," and I'm like,
And you wonder what's really going on in their mind.
exactly, because you want a little more conversation. Well,
Right.
like, was I like too straightforward, or like was it like too like over the top? I don't get.
Not Scorpio, too straightforward. I don't know.
Well, I was just trying to get to the point. I mean,
I
did
left
it?
out the sun moving into Sag next week too. So yeah, a lot of earth fire kinds of energy, and earth and fire. Fire scorches earth, earth distinguishes fire. So it's somewhere finding that balance where you're not feeling worn out. You know,
Mhm.
there's a balance there of balance is a big key word for this energy, finding balance.
Well, I'm gonna try. So I was almost thinking about putting up the Christmas tree early this year.
Oh, wow.
I know. I don't know. I was just thinking about it. I was like, might as well, because I won't be here for Christmas. So
Right.
I might as well like get
Enjoy
get
it now.
yeah, just wanna enjoy it and like And plus, there's other stuff in the closet I probably need to look at. Like,
Yeah, you might as well.
I don't know. I was thinking about it. Maybe not this week. Maybe next week. I don't know.
This girl at work was talking about she was going to be getting out her Christmas tree at Thanksgiving. And I told her, it's like, so my Christmas tree is pewter and it's about this tall and it stays in a drawer. So when
Mhm.
I put the Christmas tree out, I open the drawer and I put, it's a little snow globe with a little tree in it
Mhm.
on the table. And that's my tree. And I only did that because my friends gave me such grief about why don't I put up a tree?
Mhm.
Oh, because it's just another chore that puts things stress on me. So I found this little snow globe Christmas tree years ago, and I was like, you can't hassle me about putting up a tree anymore. I have a tree now.
I
Just
didn't know you didn't put up the tree.
I have not had a tree in many, 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 many years.
Oh wow, that's something new I didn't know.
Okay, well,
I didn't know that.
I'm lucky if I get a wreath on the door.
Yeah, I do know you do at least that
Yeah,
sometimes. 'Cause I saw it one time before.
yeah. I
Um,
don't do a lot. Emotionally, I do better to keep things more even keel.
mhm. Mhm.
Like Thanksgiving. So everybody's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Well, I'm going to hopefully finish stripping wallpaper in my bathroom and get it ready to paint. It'd be even greater if I actually got it painted. And they're like, well, why? You know, it's like, well, I don't have any family.
Mhm.
And my mom died on Thanksgiving, so that's a difficult memory. And
Mhm.
I find it emotionally more easy to just have a project. You know, in years past, it's been maybe in the yard, you know, um, some kind of project just to focus on.
Is there like a little thing that you can do? Like, because I know that you and your mama used to like be in the garden together, and that could be like, your bonding time with her and the ethers to do something like that.
If the
So,
weather cooperates, very little will get done in the bathroom and I'll be in the yard.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't looked that far in advance for the weather, but I have this bathroom. It's a bathroom that I don't use, so that's why it's easy to put off. But I started stripping wallpaper probably 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff from the linen closet is in the hallway. So
Mm-hmm.
when I come up to this office, I'm walking past all this clutter in the hallway that drives me nuts. But because it's not the bathroom I use every day, so I don't think about it. But I'm at the point where I'm like, I have got to get this finished. This is ridiculous.
Well, that would be a good thing to do, you know.
Yeah,
Um, let's see here. Yeah, it's now pitch dark here, 5 p.m. Yeah, here, well, it's 7 now. It's dark now. So much intense energy. So happy to see you live. Yes, happy Taurus full moon. Yes. Hi there. How's the weather where you are? It was partly sunny today, but still wet, wet, wet. Well, it's not wet down here.
it
It's
is
dry.
cold here. It is
Yeah, it's
cold.
not cold. It's like 70.
I
I mean,
actually,
I'm not complaining.
I actually brought plants in finally. I've pushed it and pushed it. I usually get plants in by October 15th, and I just on November 12th got the last of the plants that because it was going to get down in the 30s. So
Oh wow, that is cold.
it's been cold today, or maybe it's just the change from being warm and then cold. It feels colder.
I mean, like here, it's like 70s. It may go down to the 50s at night.
Nice.
But yeah, it's nice. I'm not complaining. This actually feels like a nice Washington like weather. Like I don't, I don't know how to explain it. Not too cold,
Right,
but it's like, kind of like the spring, like not even summer month type where it's like still nice but cold, but
right.
not too cold. But yeah.
Are
Yeah,
we going to pull cards tonight?
I don't know. How do you feel? Because I have to go get food for my kids soon.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was just noticing it's been like 2 hours. We've just been chatting.
Mhm. Um, we don't have to if, like we can
Okay.
skip it for this time.
We
I
can save it for next time.
Yeah, because like even like my reading for this week on Monday, the 1111 portal, I
Yes.
did not I did not go through all the zodiac signs.
Yes. Well, I think it's again that sort of grinding gear energy and just trying to find balance and no matter what your zodiac sign is, there's
It's
the
rough.
challenges of old wounds getting reopened and addressing them and purging them and you know trying to
Definitely.
stay in a spiritual state of mind where you're not
Stay strong.
too
You
far
got
one
this.
way or the other on anything and you know for all the people melting down on one thing or another just God bless them and wish them the best.
Yeah, that's where we have to just, send them.
Do you want to put down the 29th for a meeting again?
Let's see. Let me look at the calendar.
Friday.
Yeah, we can do that.
That would be the new moon. Um,
You said that that's on the 30th, right?
it's actually it's, yes. Well, depending on where you are, either the 30th or the 1st, but it's the new moon in Sag.
Mhm. Yeah, we can do it on the 29th.
On
That's
the West
fine.
Coast, it's more closer to the 30th, and then on the East Coast, closer to being the 1st. But we have this, and on the 29th, it's a Scorpio moon.
Oh, is it not a Sag?
Um, yeah, it doesn't go into Sag till later in the weekend.
Oh, okay. Um,
So, like, the new moon on the West Coast is like 10:30 at night on the 30th, and then like 1 in the morning on
I need to make moon water. I forgot. Today would be perfect to do moon water.
mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna do that once I get
So
off.
you know that so that is the day after Thanksgiving. Is that okay?
Oh shit. I think it should be okay. And if anything changes, then I'll let you know.
Oh,
But I'm not doing anything like
I'm not doing anything.
Ethan, he just wants a little piece of ham, and my older son, I told him, he said he wants a turkey. I said, okay, well, let's get a little one, not a big one. So it's just, basics, just, and then Ethan's birthday, his is on the 24th. So usually it's around Thanksgiving, but it's kind of far off from the
Yeah,
actual day this
we
year.
kind of have a late Thanksgiving this week. I mean,
Yeah,
this
I thought it was gonna be on the 21st, not the 28th.
right, right.
Like, did they do that right?
Yeah, but his birthday is still the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, so I just know this because, like, he was born 2 days before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also my grandmother died on Thanksgiving Day too.
Oh, wow. Your grandmother and my mother died on the same day.
Yeah, it was like really hard, but for me, I was able to get over it because I knew my grandmother wanted me to eat. She's always watching me eat, and
Yeah.
so like I'm eating, grandma. I'm eating. And so I never really thought about it, but like my brother and my mom, they're always like,
Was it
down about it.
was it your mom's mom?
Mhm. Yeah. So it's her, and I just know if she were to see us, she was like, "Why don't you guys eat? Like this is retarded," you know. That's why I never like asked
I
her.
I love that kind of food. Like I love cranberries and green beans and the stuffing. I love the stuffing. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'll get like just
Do
like
you have like a K&W cafeteria, or do you have like anything like a cafeteria?
mm-mm,
No?
not anymore. We used to have a really good one. They've kind of dwindled away, but Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, yeah.
So one year, a friend of mine and I, we ordered Thanksgiving dinner from Cracker Barrel.
Mhm.
It was good.
Yeah. I mean, I did that when my grandmother passed away that time. There was that K&W cafeteria. It's been a local thing
Yeah.
in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where I used to live, and they have delicious desserts. Like that was like their thing, their signature thing. But I like the fact that you can just go down the line and just grab like whatever you wanted, and they had all the sides and all the fixings, and you just check out and you eat, you know?
Well, there's a couple of places that you can pre-order, like the grocery stores. You can
Mhm,
pre-order a meal and then just go pick it up and heat it up. Um, my what I have done, I didn't do anything last year and I missed it, but I like at least having some of the food around for the weekend.
mhm, mhm. That way you don't have to cook.
Yeah,
You know? So, like you said, I was thinking about doing Whole Foods, they have meal for 2,
yeah,
and, yeah,
fresh.
but
Yeah.
everybody in my family, they just eat everything different, like, I'm more vegan or vegetarian, and then Cass likes the turkey, and, Ethan likes the ham, so we can never really it's always like that, so, um
So at our my office on the 25th, that Monday, they're doing a what they're calling a Thanksgiving potluck.
Mhm.
The firm is going to buy like I think the firm says they're buying like the turkey and mashed potatoes, and then you signed up for any desserts or sides you wanted to bring. So I'm bringing my cranberry sauce.
Oh, is that your secret sauce?
That's my secret sauce. I never knew cranberry sauce came in a can, right? I never knew that. I mean, it you can make it fresh from berries, which is the only way I've ever known it, and I
Cutting out.
love and so that's what I'm gonna make.
It comes straight from the can.
No, fresh berries.
Okay.
Maybe I'll do a show and tell next time. In one of the antique auctions, I had it in my shop for a long time. I have an antique cranberry harvester.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of a neat thing. I'll try to put it up here and be a be a show and tell for be one of those trivia questions. What is this?
I wouldn't like
Weird
a
looking.
mill, like a hand mill.
It's kind of weird looking, but so that'll be interesting to see how that goes. And then I'm sure a bunch of people, it'll probably be like a skeleton staff for the few days.
Mm.
So not a lot going on, which is fine.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
So we have Christmas falling on Wednesday this year, and that is the only day they're giving off. So if you wanted any other time off, it would be, you taking it. But I think I'm just going to stick to the Wednesday. I'm kind of accumulating my days off. I'm kind of leaning towards doing some kind of big trip in the spring, like to the beach, and actually like kenneling my dog so I can actually go and
Enjoy.
I have a friend that just bought a condo down at Myrtle Beach.
Oh,
She
yeah.
rents it out really cheap, but there's no pets allowed. So
Mm.
um, that's a that, that's an area that I used to go to a long time ago, and I haven't been there a long time. And it's kind of
Really?
Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, I used to go like twice a year. Like, well, that was when I lived in North Carolina.
I
Um,
always went to the Outer Banks. That's where I always went.
so I didn't go there that often because you can't really, well, it's not easy to swim in those beaches because
Yeah,
of the currents and stuff.
yeah,
But like going towards Myrtle Beach, the waves are more gentle and you can handle like those waves. I call it baby waves, like nice gentle like waves that come in, but the
yeah.
ones in North Carolina are a little bit more rough.
They're the Barrier Islands, I think, is what they call.
Yeah, so they're a little bit more. So,
So I don't know, but my point is, I'm trying to save up time off to
to
take some
go.
big trip. Yeah,
Yeah, you enjoy it for me because I miss Myrtle Beach.
I dated a guy down there in the '80s, and I had a little Volkswagen Bug, and I remember one time taking off with $50 in my pocket. Even
Mhm.
back then, that was like going really on your shoestring. And I forget what his name was. It's never good when you forget their name. Oh, God. Anyway, I used to make trips down there, drive 8 hours to go see this boy for the weekend. That was crazy.
Mhm.
Drive
Mhm.
home late at night to be ready to go back to, I was in college at the time. Go
Oh,
back.
yeah, you have the energy to do that then.
Yeah.
Mhm. It was an 8-hour trip, is it?
From me, it was. Yeah.
Mhm. I guess from
Central Virginia.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's been a
It's
while.
like the southern part of Myrtle Beach, not the northern part. It's 10 hours to Florida.
I just know, like, from Fayetteville to Myrtle Beach is, like, 2.5-hour trip, and then from me going up to the top of Virginia, it's, like, a 3-hour trip because I think it's, like, 4 hours to get to DC because of the traffic and stuff like that,
Yeah.
um
Well, I'd been on this trend the last couple of years to scope out an Airbnb that was pet friendly.
Mhm.
And I've done that a couple of times. And I still may do that.
You know what? When I was in the hotel for a long period of time, um, I finally found an Airbnb that had like the stove and all that. I was like, motherfucker, man, because they had the same fees and everything. And I was like, man, I should have went for the Airbnb because like I was holding out on like because I wanted to cook and I couldn't cook. It was
Right.
just like microwave and stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah, the Airbnb is what I'm saying is probably ideal, especially if you had pets.
Oh,
Um,
right. Right.
yeah, then you can bring them with you if
The
that
one
were
I went to in August was up in the mountains, and
mhm.
it was a farm, and it was really very cool, but it rained. It was the end part. What is that? I swear there's something going on here that I don't understand.
What do you have? Spirits?
I don't know what that was. Anyway, um, it was the tail end of a hurricane, so it was rainy, and you couldn't get outside, and but the place itself was very quaint. It was very cool.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always nice to just go out and just unwind,
Yeah.
get away from technology and just like enjoy nature and just change of scenery and just getting out of the house and doing something different is nice to me.
Exploring a new area.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we'll see. I usually start investigating that around the end of the year for what money I need to save and make reservations for whatever is going to be the trip.
Yeah, don't be like me and just go out on a whim, like last minute. But sometimes you have to be spontaneous,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
was going to say there's nothing wrong with that. I've enjoyed doing that at times. When you have two dogs or, your pets, that kind of sometimes can
I know, especially if you don't have a well, you have that one friend, but I don't know if she can handle 2 of them.
right. And she has just discovered this week her husband needs triple bypass surgery, and he's going to have that done in December. It's a 5-day hospital stay and 2-month recovery, and he can't lift more than 15 pounds.
Oh my god.
Takes care of dogs. And so she's like, I need a live in dog person. So,
So she needs somebody too.
yeah,
So there must be like somebody young around the block, you think?
I don't know. I need to figure that out for her because that was a quite a blow to their little world.
Mhm.
She just got through a, a lumpectomy
I don't know. It's that lumps
in
or
her
something.
breast. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's like they've been hit
Going through
a
it.
lot with health stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
So we just have to be grateful for every little thing we've got that we can rejoice in, and that'll keep our vibration
Yeah, just
high.
like if you have like any kind of anger, like that too shall pass. Just get over it and
Yeah.
just be thankful that you're alive and you're blessed and you have all that you need and um yeah.
Yeah, that's all good.
Mhm. Yeah, cuz tomorrow you may not be here, how the saying goes. So, you have to live each day to your fullest, you know. I know.
Yeah. Well, you go fix your dinner, and we'll reconvene in a couple of weeks and see how we've all survived. And that'll
So
be after that'll be like Thanksgiving weekend. So maybe we'll hear some tales of all of the
oh,
traveling
yeah.
and
Mhm.
stuff.
Well, I'm staying put, but, I'm pretty sure that the energy might be a little crazy at that point up until then, so
I'm hoping that I stay focused on what I want to get done. Is what I'm hoping.
yeah, but, plans might change and shift, right? Or is that after the 21st, I think you
No,
said?
I think it's a stir of energy for the next 3 weeks, really.
Oh, okay, so, alright, get ready for the hurricane.
Had Mars retrograde, Neptune direct around December 6th, 7th. That time period is definitely, you want to have your practices, your meditation practices, and whatever it takes to keep you calm and focused and not let anybody jerk your chain or get you off balance.
Sounds good. Imma meditate on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, what is it? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
Mm.
I like that.
Yeah, those are good
To the
words.
point. To the point. 10 seconds. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Can do it a few times a day. I tell you, right after he told me that, I was like, a few times a day, every day there for a while. I could feel the difference and I liked it. You just kind
Mhm.
of release that needling brain, where you're being needled to death about something that's really insignificant.
That's true.
Yeah,
I know we all get caught up in the mundane of things and
every day. Yeah.
don't take the time to just check out,
Yeah. Let people be. 9 times out of 10, whatever they're doing is not anything to do with you personally, right? It's just,
Right, yeah. There's other stuff that they're probably going through.
yeah.
So
So,
to each his own.
yes. It's been great just chatting, and
Yes.
hope the next few days go easy, and there's a lot of opportunity for healing and taking advantage of a positive shift in the energy.
I'm looking forward to it. To at least be positive about it. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that our computers cooperated. It was a little touch and go there at the beginning.
I know. We survived.
We got through it and it straightened out. I don't know what. Maybe my camera has gone bad now.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it was just like maybe the wire or something's gotten looser or something.
All right. Well, this seemed to be working okay. I think I got that because this one wasn't working. So, hey,
Now that one's working. Like,
I do. My laptop is probably going on 8 years old. So, I need to be looking into that.
I thought you got a new one.
In 2016.
No, like a couple years ago, because it wasn't your computer repair guy saying that you need a new laptop. And so,
It
like,
was 2016.
did I know you since 2016?
2017, yeah.
Don't tell me time flies.
Like 7 years or so.
Was that 7 years?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I know. We've
No
been doing
way.
these
It
lives
feels
for
like
like
4 years ago or something. No?
no, no,
That was back then?
yeah. We're having so much fun. We're just a nanosecond in time.
Yeah, I know, right? Like that took me, I can't believe that much time has passed.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Now I'm all freaked out. Like, what? Yeah, I started a channel in I want to say
17, wasn't it?
no, 2018. It was December 2018. December, it was December 6th when I signed up for my YouTube thing, and then it was December 15th or 16th that I put up my first video of 2018.
Okay, so
Because in 2019, that is when my twin ghosted me
so
in
it's
March.
6 years. 6 years then.
Okay, I was like, man,
Yeah.
but still, that's still a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Maybe it was. Yeah, I've had this laptop since 2016.
Yeah, but still, I mean, like, I don't know. I have my stuff for 10 years at least, 8 to 10
Yeah,
years.
I mean, I've had other stuff. I still have a laptop over there that I keep because it has some old astrology stuff on it. I wanna be able to go back to sometimes, and I don't know, when it starts acting wiggy, I just feel like I should get the next one at least started in case.
No, that's actually a good thing because you never know. That's what happened, like, with this computer. Like, I had 2 computers. One of them I was working on, but I loved it, but it was old and slow, but I didn't care because it had all my stuff on it,
Yeah,
and it was my baby. Like, it was made from parts from other computer parts, and,
right.
and I kept it going for a long time. But I had this new computer that I'm on, and it was just sitting there. It was like a spare,
Yeah,
and I was like, I was gonna do it for, to use it with video because then my video production would be a little bit faster and stuff like that. But I never really liked using the new stuff,
yeah,
but I had it, and then one day my other computer wouldn't work, and
right.
so
Of
yeah,
course.
now I didn't have to wait too long because I already had this one. I could use it right away.
I hate getting new ones set up.
Yeah, it's a pain, but if you get it and you start and you just have the basics,
Yeah,
at least you have that much, and then it grows on you.
Yeah.
But you still have like this attachment to the old one. I get it. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I want my old machine back.
I know.
So,
All right, then. Well, you get you some nourishment and rest easy, and we'll catch up soon.
okay. All right. Thank you for coming on for
Thank
this
you. I'm
week.
glad it worked because it was iffy there at the
Yeah,
beginning.
it was a little wonky in the beginning, but we made it.
Maybe it was just this wire and everything, you know? Maybe it was just,
I think it was because like something's jiggled,
yeah,
and I think it was maybe it was even though it was like maybe sitting on top,
yeah.
but something moved because I saw like an indicator on my screen that it got disconnected, or I don't remember the word.
It said the mic was off or something, and I wasn't touching anything to do with anything.
Yeah, and then I don't know, maybe if you just let it like sit for a bit and then you plug it back in and it starts working all over again.
Yeah.
And it needed a break.
As we all do, right?
Yeah, it's just, oh, you just need to take a break.
Well,
Yeah.
I've enjoyed everyone and you, and look forward to the next time.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
See you
Thank you.
later.
Okay. Bye bye.